Hi, I'm Jennifer Wild, and you're listening to Sober Exposure. If it's about recovery, we're gonna cover it. It's like one big therapy session, but it's free. So thanks for joining our dysfunctional family as we uncover recovery with Sober Exposure. Let's go. Hi, it's Sober Exposure. I'm Jennifer Wild. Welcome. We are getting into season 2 here. This is our second season, and already we've kicked it off with a bang. And I'm really excited about this guest too. I've invited Ryan Phillips to come on the show. Ryan has an incredible story. Like your story, what was it? I just saw something last night that you sent me on YouTube. Basically, what is that? Are you doing some? It almost looked like a movie trailer. So let's welcome Ryan Phillips first. Hello.
Hi, I'm Ryan Phillips, and very grateful to be on Sober Exposure with Jennifer. Good morning.
Good
morning to the world.
Yes. Good afternoon. Good night. Whenever you're listening to this. But yeah, this is what I love about podcasting is you never know when they're listening. This could be like 2045, and someone could be listening to this.
Could be. You never know. I don't even know what day it is these days. Sometimes it's like one day molds into the next day, but we get through it the best we can. And I know, having a drink and using would definitely, I wouldn't be talking to you today. So we talked before about, my story and whatnot. It was, featured on National Geographic in 2020. After I rode my bike across Canada and 4 other countries for mental health awareness. And grew up in North Vancouver, BC, playing hockey. That was my dream growing up, is to be the best hockey player in the world, like many Canadian kids. And, I've said it before, the dream kind of turned into a bit of a nightmare. Leaving home, I was very young, just turned 16. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of hazing. That whole culture is, looks really glamorous on the outside.
What do you mean in the hockey world, hazing?
Oh God. Yeah.
I guess so. You guys beat the shit out of each other in playoff. You could see how I used to date a Philadelphia Flyers fan. I was in love with this guy. And I mean, it takes my sex addiction to get me into like sport, like I'm the rock and roll girl, sports, and but I did enjoy playoff hockey, just watching everyone beat the shit out of each other. It was so boring the entire season watching that puck flying around. No offense. I know what you do is so hard, but that's fun watching that. So I can imagine now the hazing. Hello.
Well, the hazing was off the ice, that, all the initiations and whatnot. So, right. First year player, it's, got sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's what that lifestyle is. It's, you're thrown at, a young age. You're in a small community, in the junior ranks. And so it's like your local celebrity, playing in front of, 5 to 10, 15,000 fans at a time. And, young kid, humble beginnings. Next thing you know, you got this hockey ego that kind of goes along with the lifestyle, trying to fit in with the older guys. And, before I left home, I really wasn't a big drinker at all. It wasn't in my wheelhouse. I was very, very focused on, playing in the National Hockey League, and I was going to do whatever it took to get there. So, injuries, adversities along the way. And, I found out pretty young that alcohol wasn't a good friend of mine, and, just started perpetuating forward. And, I just kind of developed that a kind of bit of a reputation of a party guy, and lost my focus. And, I turned pro at 20, went down to the States. I played in Wichita, Kansas, Topeka, Kansas. I played in Texas for a couple years. And at 24, I decided, because there was a lucrative business going on in my province of British Columbia called the BC Bud Boom. It was very profitable. And,
the BC Bud Boom, does that have to do with marijuana?
Yeah, marijuana.
I
So
would imagine so.
yeah.
So of course,
So,
why? Right.
and at the time, in the United States when it wasn't legal, here it was very accepted.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that I had a lot of connections from playing hockey in the States and here in Canada and whatnot. And my creative mind, so to speak, came up with a lot of different trade routes. And
So you left professional hockey to sell weed.
I did. Yeah.
I
I
love
actually
you.
was
That's my
I
kind of-
was doing it at the same time, believe it or not. I started at my first border run was when I was 19, and I was it started off with 1 pound turned into 10, turned into 15, turned into 100. And at one point we were doing God, 1,000 a week sometimes. Then it just, I mean, one year we did over $100 million worth of business, cash business coming back, into, from the States into Canada. And, I paid the ultimate price, went to prison at 24 and got out. Didn't become a good boy right away. But I'll tell you, my mind was very clear when I was in prison. I got clean and sober in prison. But then when I got out, the whole lifestyle, especially when you're making that kind of money, it was crazy insanity. Traveled the world and did all that kind of stuff. But the ramifications with that, it's not just prison. It's it's just like sports and whatnot. Just like it's just so fast lane and crazy, and it got the best of me. In all aspects. I'm lucky to be alive. Threats on my life, gangs and that whole 9 yards, everything, anything that you possibly imagine that is insanity was my life. And
let me ask you this question, because this is almost like Scared Straight. You know what I'm saying? Can you paint me a picture?
Blow, Goodfellas, and Casino mixed into one, but I was just a young punk with spare cash.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I want to hear about the prison horror stories, like everything that you see in the movies and everything. And I mean, you're a pretty boy, let's face it. Does that shit really happen?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not asking you, to tell you know
what?
I'm
very grateful that I was able to, my personality, I got along with everybody. And I might have been a little prettier back then at 24, 25, but that stuff does go down. And I was scared crapless out of my mind when I rolled in there. And you just have to adapt, like really like a chameleon, really just have to adapt into your environment. And I minded my manners and told funny stories, and I had absolutely no issues myself, but I did see a lot of really crazy stuff go down in there. And it's something I don't wish on anybody, but it humbled me a lot. But at the same time, I took a lot of core values that I learned in prison, because if you're not playing by, say, prison rules, then you're going to get stuck. So
you actually learned you actually got a little bit rehabilitated in prison. Is that what you did? You got sober in prison. They have I know they bring meetings in there. I used to bring meetings into a prison. And when I brought the meetings in, I really got the impression that the women just couldn't wait to go to the meetings, just because it was just something to do. And they, some of them afterwards were like, thank you so much. And it meant so much to me. And I really, I feel like some of them were touched, but for the most part, they were like, just something to do,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I definitely manifested everything I wanted, while I was in there. I was pretty pissed off and angry at the United States of America. Told that I was never going to be allowed back into the States again. That just crippled me, because I had a young daughter that was, she was 1 when I went in year 2000. So hearing that I wasn't going to be able to go back to the United States where I played hockey and all my friends were, and, I planned on actually spending, basically the rest of my life in the States, even though I was back and forth, doing the business with the whole marijuana thing. The United States really always held like a really close part of my heart, especially
Yeah.
with my daughter down there.
Yeah.
And you know, I got out and I had more connections. Literally, like going to jail was like, you know, getting an education on how to be a better criminal.
Yeah,
And
that's what I say when like I've been in rehab so many times. It was like, okay, so I learned how to shoot dope in rehab. Like, no,
yeah,
this is how you do it. Yeah, right. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, I get that. Yeah.
But you know, I was never a violent guy. I've never shot a gun before in my life. I was always, you know, the connector kind of dude. And you know, I built a very lucrative business. After I got out, I kept doing it. And it just got to the point where it got so big. You know, I was at the top of the food chain in that business. You know, just, you know, helicopters, planes, and boats. I mean, you name it. There was every transportation route possible, hiking, bushwhack trails with walkie talkies, and you name it. I got very creative, so to speak. And, you know, it brought in, you know, huge sums of money, made a lot of young people millionaires.
Oh, wow.
I have
Yeah.
zero zilch of that money left. No marijuana money is in my bank at all. And anytime I've ever, like, you know, even thought about doing something illegal, it's just, it makes me feel sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
So, you know, I made a change in 2008, around 2009. There was a big gang war going on in Canada. And,
You know, there's a Netflix film. I think it takes place in Canada, though. Like, I think earlier, maybe the. Do you know the series I'm talking about, where they talk about the drug cartel and all that in
Narcos?
Canada? Not Narco. No, not that one. No,
the Cannabis
it's like,
Kid.
Oh, gosh, where's my producer? It's literally like it's so cool because it tells all about the drug wars in Canada. And
Yeah.
it's sort of like a kind of like a Goodfellas type of thing. But
well, that's the thing, is people think that it's worse down in the States with the mafia and all that, but here in Canada, I'm telling you, it's 10 times worse. I mean, you get yourself in deep, you're in way too deep, and it's extremely dangerous. And
yeah,
you know, it was like playing Russian roulette every day, just waking up. I was driving out of my rear view mirror more than the front view, that's for sure. And, you know, I was affiliated with a lot of, you know, pretty serious people, and, you know, thought I was untouchable,
okay,
but
yeah.
nobody's untouchable. And it just got to the point where, you know, I was just sick of living in fear. And it would have been, I guess, just over 16 years ago. It's, I don't know, just, it's a little early in the morning here, so I'm just trying to put my mind
Yeah.
into compartmentalize everything here. But, you know, went on a big bender, and, you know, I'd had it. I'd really had it. It was, you know,
So what was your type of bender? Because you talked a lot. I mean, you obviously were in the business of distribution as far as marijuana goes, but were you a pothead? You talked a lot about alcoholism. Did you smoke the drugs?
I mean, I smoked a lot of weed back in the hockey days, and, you know, here and there, but I never really enjoyed pot that much. My go-to was, would start off with a few drinks, and then a few drinks would lead into a few rails, and then GHB, ecstasy, MDMA. I mean, that was all coming in from San Francisco. I mean, it was just hell bent for leather, go, you know, 3-4 days, party to party, penthouse to mansion, to next thing I know, I'm in a plane. I don't even remember boarding it. I'm landing in some other country. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I'll tell you, there was the best days and the worst days of my life. You know, all that money allowed me to travel the world and to experience beautiful cultures. So when I got out of that business, you know, I dedicated my life to world service. And, you know, I rode my bike across Cambodia in 2012. We were shooting a film over there about happiness. And it just so happened an actress.
What do you mean you were shooting a film? Explain. What do you mean?
Yeah,
I want to talk about all the advocacy that you do, because that's what caught my attention, you know, obviously. So I like success stories. So shooting a film, go ahead. Shooting a film.
I started a thing called Return to Happiness, and I wasn't happy. I had all this money, I had everything exterior in my life that anyone could, everything looked all great on the outside, but inside I was dying. And I got out of the game there, and I started going to my first meeting. I would have been 27. And I remember they asked me to share, and I started telling my life story. And they were like, "What? You're supposed to be sharing about like your youth?" I was like, "Oh, this is I had no idea about like, it's like, I thought AA was like for like the homeless people on the street. I didn't realize that it was for people that have just people,
That's
like
the misconception that people think about.
there was a total misconception. Yeah.
That you have to be Skid Row to,
Yeah. So, at that point, it just kind of sparked something inside me of, I'd say, divine timings. And I was like, what, I really want to just do more. I started reading a lot of, Think and Grow Rich, a lot of spiritual books and whatnot, not just the AA book, but I was,
right. What's your favorite spiritual book? Which one impacted you the most?
Book, I think Power versus Force, Dr. David Hawkins would be right up there. Lots. I don't know. I'm kind of a book junkie. Alan Watts. I'm a big Alan Watts fan. I like Wayne Dyer.
Wayne, that's my boyfriend. Wayne,
Bruce
I love
Lipton. Wayne Dyer. God, the list goes on. So
you should check out a guy named David J.I. I always talk about him. I mean, he should sponsor my friggin' show, for God's sake.
Yeah, we got to get on that. Happen. Do I have to help you with that? I'll reach out to him today.
Yeah, do it. Actually, I'm going on one of his retreats in March, and so maybe we'll get him to come on, because let me tell you, the dude is like awesome. He is the one that's responsible for keeping me off hard drugs, really.
Awesome.
With his meditation, the way that his approach to everything is really cool. So check him out, David G. But anyway, so all right, book junkie. Another question I had, I know we're kind of like, this is the ADD episode. We're all over the road. But
we're all
fine.
over the map. Yeah. I used to have a podcast called All Over the Map too. And a travel show that was right about to get signed with MTV. But unfortunately, my co-host died of an overdose.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. He literally fell off the rails and went into the rails, and very unfortunate situation.
God.
But,
I did not mean to make a joke about that. That is so sad. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's been quite turbulent as of late. I've lost a lot of people in my life, especially in the last month and a half due to addiction. And it just, really, life is so precious, every moment. And, just to even be here talking to you, I didn't sleep a whole lot last night, but you know what? Even though you're not sleeping, if you're not sleeping, you're still awake. So, right. What are you going to do? It's, you just got to, cherish each moment. And, that's one of the things that I really, with getting sober, it's like, I have absolutely no compulsion to have a sip of alcohol or do drugs today at all. Like, I feel completely and totally recovered.
See, you're lucky. I do. I still do. That's what sucks.
Really?
And I'll be vocal, and I'll be outspoken about the fact that I have, the drinking, not so much, because like the drinking for me, it's like, dude, I know if I have one drink, it's not even fun anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't even get that, like in between the first and second drink, when you get that euphoria, I don't even get that. I just go right to like crazy, like, no. But I got to tell you, I still because I'm tired a lot, and I struggle with fatigue.
So you feel like having the odd bump here and there, right?
Oh yeah.
Especially living in Florida, where it's pretty abundant. Yeah. And that's the thing with me, is I never had to pay for it, because all the guys I was working with, they were all shipping it in. So it was, shipping it off the block. And next thing, it was like, I never had to pay for drugs. That was the thing. So,
well, neither did I. No, if you're just listening, I'm holding my boobs. But anyway,
if I had those too. If I had those, I wouldn't have ever had to have a job.
So all right, so let's talk about the advocacy. No, it's true. Let's talk. That's why I'm sitting here, all day long doing. No, I just live on my, the rights of having my boobs to get me through life. It's nice. Done wonders. I got to tell you. So advocacy work.
Yes.
This is one of the reasons why I do my podcast. Like I
Yeah.
am not perfect. My sobriety is not perfect. But you know what?
We're all perfectly imperfect.
That's right. I
Yeah.
embrace my imperfections. And the reason why I do this podcast, even when I'm in the middle of a struggle or when I relapsed or when things aren't going right or when my son's whatever, is because of advocacy. You know,
Yeah.
we have to advocate and destigmatize addiction and mental illness, because
Absolutely.
I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if they say there's no stigma attached. There still is stigma attached. And I know
Massively.
this because I was up for a big job that I was so excited about. You know, I'm an ex-radio personality, and somebody was going to give me a big opportunity to do another radio show in the morning in a big, huge market. And when they saw that I was the host of Sober Exposure, I mean, they couldn't legally say it, but it's still stigmatized. I don't want a friggin' recovering addict or someone that struggles with depression to be, my morning show host.
Yeah.
And that's fucked up.
That's super fucked up. Yeah.
So
I mean,
if I diabetes, they would, if I diabetes, would I get the job? I mean, that's going to take away from you. I have to go get I have to go take insulin shots.
Yeah. I mean, there should be absolutely no stigma whatsoever. I know, I've done a couple of TED Talks in my life. The last one was after I crossed Canada and 4 other countries in 2019, all for mental health awareness. And, I don't go on Facebook a whole lot, but I went on Facebook last night. I just had this feeling in my gut. I kind of go on there once in a while and just kind of check out what some friends are up to. I'm on Messenger, and I think I've downloaded that and upload often up and off that app. I don't know how many times, because it's just like the minute I go on, it's just like it's like, it just takes up too much time in my day. It's too much of a distraction. But I made a post last night, about mental health. It's, that there should never be a stigma. And I think people are actually starting to realize that these days, especially, the whole world's going through like a global trauma. We're all facing our shadows right now in so many aspects. And, I heard sirens going on all night last night.
Yeah, you were telling me that. Yeah. What, you were like, everyone's going crazy here in Canada. Why? What's
everybody
going on? You guys have mushrooms. You shouldn't be.
There.
You should be. No, just
I mean, yeah, it's really tough these days, and it's the youth, it's the kids these days that are, I mean, it's just mind-boggling. I talked to my psychiatrist a couple days ago, and I think I'm more his psychiatrist than the roles have been reversed. And he's having a really tough time. He's getting there was, I think he said 13 or 14 suicides before 9 o'clock, and that was on last Monday. And
what's going on?
It's just all ages, from the ages of, it's so complex. These kids they're really struggling because there's a lot of like lockdowns and shutdowns. Schools, were supposed to open up 2 weeks ago, and then they didn't open, and they reopened. It's just like everything's just every day there's a new rule here almost. And I've been having trouble sleeping. I went to the drugstore last night. All the sleep aids are out, and I'm not going to go
That's
down
how
the
it was
rabbit.
like at the beginning of COVID with toilet paper. You can't get toilet paper. Now you can't get Tylenol PM in Canada.
Yeah. It's like, I just wanted some NyQuil, a little bit of Benadryl. And I took a picture and I sent it to my buddy over in Texas, and he was like, are you kidding me? Like, the shelves are bare. Like, nobody is sleeping here for some reason. It's like people are, the vibration of fear is, you can really feel it. It's just rippling through the masses right now, and it's tough. So, I do my best to, get a couple meditations in a day. I'm writing a new book right now, and, working on some other things as well. Some pretty cool projects, another film project. But, it's, as far as advocacy goes, I always just, I put it out there, and the universe always just, responds in accordance to the nature of my dominating thoughts. It's like the
Okay.
broadcasting and receiving station for the vibration, right? So
Yeah, the universe. Absolutely.
you know,
Let me ask you this question, because one of the big things that I always do is I look at everyone in my life that is really financially secure, and some that has serious material abundance. And being that you came from both worlds, you had all that, even though it was kind of dirty money. I mean, come on, let's call a spade a spade.
I think
It
it's
was
all
dirty
dirty,
money.
isn't it?
Well, it's all, yeah, it's
No,
all
I know.
dirty.
I
Saw
call
the
it
best
blood
Curb
money.
Your Enthusiasm episode yesterday. It was an old one where someone hands Larry a 50 from his shoe, and he wouldn't, nobody would take the 50 because it was so dirty. I'm like, if we only knew where our money is, who's touched our money. But my question is, having everything,
Yeah,
but using and not, being on a spiritual path, and then maybe not having so much as far as being able to go travel the world and buy a Rolex watch and all that, which is better?
I gave
Honestly, the truth.
the inner wealth is better, because you know what? I believe that we all can create from the formless substance. Thoughts do become things. And, I mean, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And, I'm very blessed. It's whatever I put out there, it always, shows up. It's just, it's the power of belief. It's the biology of belief, literally.
Mhm.
It's like cellular memory kind of thing. It's we have the ability to, put ourselves into a vibration, and, matching that vibration, that frequency. It's like,
Okay, so how do you change it? Well, let's say you're someone like me that's a negative, angry, depressed fucking bitch. Okay. And trying to change the energy, but fake it till you make it. Like, I had a bad mental health day yesterday. I did. I
okay.
had a bad mental health day. I was in bed all friggin' day, and I slept all day. And I got up and I was like, what am I going to do? How the hell am I going to get out of this? And I simply took a shower. I did listen to a guided meditation. I guess it helped.
Food.
It changed the
Let me,
frequency.
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
No, it wasn't.
He's good.
Yeah, I've heard. I like his stuff, but of course, it was David G for me.
Cool.
I'm team David G all the way. Right?
He's the G man, right?
I love that dude, man. Because you know why? He's so real. He's from New York. He worked on Wall Street, this guy. Yeah. And during 9/11, working on Wall Street and all of that, he was really, really affected. And he had this epiphany, and it basically was his change. And he did a seminar with Deepak Chopra, and Deepak fell in love with him. Deepak's like, this dude is so smart. So he became his CFO, doing all his business stuff for Deepak. And then David was such a good teacher that he started working with Deepak doing teachings, and now he's on his own. And I like him because he's an old hippie. When you read his books, he's quoting Lars Ulrich from Metallica in one of his books. You know what I mean? And you can tell that the dude, in his day, smoked plenty of weed. You just by looking at him, you can tell. But he's friggin' brilliant, and he speaks in Sanskrit, and he knows everything about just everything. The guy's awesome. So anyway,
he's super down with specialized knowledge, eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So because
you want to know how to change your vibration, alchemizing your vibration, pretty much, right?
It's important. It is. And another thing about the law of attraction that scares me, and I like Abraham Hicks a lot as well.
Yeah, I've met Esther. She's wonderful. I met her in Rome. I met her in Rome. Yeah, she invited me to one of her events. 2016, I think it was. It was her first time over in Europe to do an event. So there was 6,000 plus people packed right near the Pantheon there. It was really cool. And so actually I wrote a book. I gave her my book, because in my book, I actually said that I hadn't met her yet. And I was like, I will meet Esther Hex, because I'd been listening to her since, I guess, probably, God, I was listening to her like, I don't know, 20 years ago, something like that.
Wow.
And yeah, I ended up meeting her, and she was a wonderful, wonderful lady. You can definitely tell when she's tuned into source and when she's channeling and when she's kind of out of the vortex. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but she's yeah, it was really cool meeting her. But
So
you know,
how do I manifest? How, if I want to manifest, how do I do it right? Because the thing is here's what my therapist kind of screwed it up for me. She was like, well, you have to be very careful with manifestation, because let's say you want to manifest financial abundance.
yeah,
But in your heart of hearts, see, the universe knows all. The universe is truth and honesty. So deep in my heart, my self-esteem is so low, and I'm thinking, I'm never going to be worthy of it. I'm never going to be able to have a lot of money. I'm never going to be able to have love, and the universe picks up on that. So I got like scared off of manifestation because I'm afraid that it's going to go the opposite way. Does that make sense?
absolutely. You know, well, the thing is we're blessed, you know, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, right?
Right.
So we have these higher faculties, and it's being able to tap into those higher faculties, you know. So it's like building the picture in your mind. And what I do, and you know, this is how I got back down to the United States of America. So what I did is actually,
Okay, let's say if you're just tuning in, he was banned from the US for selling weed. All right, there we go.
Have you ever heard of a gentleman named Bob Proctor before? He was on that movie, The Secret.
Of
Bob
course.
Proctor.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, he forwarded my book. I actually said I was going to meet him too. And then I ended up at his house and showed him my manuscript, and he's like, this is great. And so he ended up forwarding my book, the first one.
Really?
Anyways, so he taught me a lot. I don't even like that word, the law of attraction, anymore. I like, it's the law of vibration. Everything's vibratory energy. Everything's is vibrating. Nothing's solid, you know? So what I do, and what he told me to do, you know, was, you know, write on a card. So I wrote on a card, I am so happy and so grateful to be allowed back in the United States of America again. So that's, you know, auto suggestion, self.
And this was before you were allowed.
This was before I was allowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So acts as it right.
So I got the card, and there's another gentleman by the name of Earl Nightingale that has the thing. It's called The Strangest Secret. And he talks about this as well. He goes, don't forget the card, write it down on the card, because you become what you think about all day long. You know, as the Buddha said, you know, let's got the old Buddha on the shoulder.
Oh, wow. That's cool
Yeah.
as hell. Yeah.
So I wrote down on this little piece of paper, I am so happy and grateful to be allowed back in the United States to see my daughter again. And then on the back, I put world service, love, faith, gratitude for the da-da-da. And I laminated it, and I carried that card in my pocket for 2 years. And I read it diligently with emotion. It's the emotion that you have to put into it, the feeling. You literally have to feel yourself into having or being, you know, that of what you desire, right? So I would, you know, literally, I am so happy and I'm so grateful. And I would see the flag in the United States of America, and nothing really started happening for about 4 or 5 months. And then all of a sudden, I started kind of believing that it was going to happen. It was like, you know, the power of belief. And it was just all these synchronicities started happening in my life. And it was like, then I started believing more and more and more. And next thing I know, I'm in Laos, a small little country in Southeast Asia. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I don't know if you've ever been to Southeast Asia before, but it's like the land of smiles.
Not within the last year and a half or so. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've been over there 34 times. I got some Asian love and good life on my chest, on my heart.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Thank you. And so what happened was I was skipping rope at like 6 a.m. And I get a phone call from an actress friend, Serinda Swan, her name is. And she calls me from Los Angeles, and she goes, I heard you're over in Southeast Asia doing a film on happiness. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, how you doing? And she's like, well, I'm actually working with this organization to help eradicate human trafficking and child sex slavery over in Cambodia. And you're in the area. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to Cambodia in like 3 weeks. And she's like, well, there's this bike ride that I'm doing with this organization for, you know, to help eradicate human trafficking. And they're raising all this money The United States government was involved with this organization and whatnot. And I was like, I'm in, I'll do it. And I'm like, I knew nothing about that cause at all. But I'm very, I love kids.
You know
I
about
love
drug
kids.
trafficking? What the hell are you talking about? I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
I'm a
couldn't.
big softie. Inside, I'm a big teddy bear, believe me.
Yeah, I know, I could tell.
July 8th.
Yeah.
So, I told my cameraman, I said, dude, let's go rock this and do this ride and meet some wonderful people and, capture this on film. And I got in touch with the organization, and the lady who was the head of the organization, her name was Somali Mom. She was a CNN hero, one of Time Life's 100 most influential people at one point. And the media really tried to take her down, unfortunately. She was a sex worker herself that was thrown into a brothel, sold into a brothel at a young age. Then she escaped, and then, with the help of a French aid worker, wrote a book, actually, a beautiful book called The Road to Lost Innocence. And next thing I know, I'm riding my bike across Cambodia with 21 other people who were just amazing. And so I can't take credit for all of this. I mean, it was just a teamwork blended in with faith and just
the universe.
I mean, we saw the country, and all these kids went into all these shelters, and it was just like so much laughter, so much tears. And we ended up at this one center called the AFASIP Center that was donated by Barbara Walters and Queen Latifah. And I met Somali there that day, and we clicked just like that. We end up being friends, and that was 10 years ago. And the day after the ride,
very excited about that.
Your dog sounds very excited. I love